Hi guys and welcome back to Lexalexus. Immediately after game week 17, we've now got to predict game week 18. So the midweek games have just concluded. I am now sitting down and recording my predictions for the next game week. That is how frantic and manic this stage of the championship season is. In terms of my score predictions, I actually got 3 exact scores, so the pressure's on to see if I can keep this consistency going into this video. I always encourage you guys to get involved in predicting the championship games as well. I think it's a little bit of fun. Please do leave your predictions in the comments down below just for a little bit of fun, and if you do leave your score predictions, you do score points on the Lexalexus Football Prediction League. The subscriber getting the shout out today is John McEwen, who recently subscribed to the channel, so thank you so much, John, for subscribing. And likewise with John, if you do subscribe to the channel, it is very likely that your name will be read out in another video. If you can hit the subscribe button, that'd be great, as we're trying to close in on 4,000 subscribers. So every subscription really does help, and you guys really supported the last video, so I really appreciate that. We actually hit 50 likes in the last video as well, so maybe if we can go for 50 likes again, that would be a great like target. So if we can get that, that'd be amazing. And please also share the channel too, as all of that really does help. Without any further ado, we're already at week 18, so let's start predicting week 18 for the championship. We commence things off with tomorrow's game with Oxford taking on Ipswich Town. Interesting one, because Oxford going into this game in a bit of precarious form, because they obviously dropped points. They managed to salvage a point literally in the very last minute against Norwich, which actually in hindsight I think it was a good point for them to salvage. Essentially with Norwich having a bit of a bounce, with Philip Clement coming in, a new manager, obviously players are going to step up and perform, but Oxford stayed in the game, still got that late equaliser and fought tooth and nail for it, so fair play to them. And I do fancy them a lot more at the Kassam than I do away from home, so it's a good point away from home. Ipswich are carrying on their all of a sudden very strong away form. I think that's 3 away wins in a row now, and it was a 2-0 victory against Hull. I mean, ultimately what we saw in that midweek was the Ipswich's ability to have a very strong squad depth, and they really paid off for the positive for them there. But this is a game that Ipswich cannot underestimate whatsoever. I think Oxford will provide Ipswich with some challenges that they have had on the road. As a prediction, I will not be surprised if many people predict an Ipswich win based on their form, and Oxford kind of stumbling their form a little bit. It is seen them in a very precarious position in regards to relegation, but I think they could salvage a draw. Once again, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game, and it will be a much better point for Oxford than it would be for Ipswich, as Ipswich will want to carry on their momentum. They're in the top 6 for the very first time this season. They're now going to be wanting to try and accelerate and to try and start putting some pressure on those automatic promotion positions. Next up, we've got Leicester versus Sheffield United. 2 different results. Leicester were in the losing end against a very informed Southampton side, losing by 3 goals to 0. Sheffield United, that is 2 wins in a row, back-to-back wins for them. They managed to beat Portsmouth by 3 goals to 0. So both were involved in 3-0 scorelines, but both were in opposite ends of receiving that score. It does intrigue me to see how they're going to do in this game for both of these sides, since the fact that Sheffield United are now starting to gain a little bit of momentum, and with the ambition of climbing out of the bottom 3, which they are really starting to do, which is good for them. But obviously, in terms of expectations, where do they see the season now? They've now got to back up this form with some consistency, because if they can stay consistent, we've already seen that sides can jump from near the bottom 3 all the way up round into the top half. I think Southampton is a very good example of those, and then you're seeing teams like Hull and Charlton who are up there, and a couple of bad results, suddenly they're now plummeting down the table. So it is crazy how things can change in this point of the season. It's the most gripping point of the season because that's when the most movement happens in the table. And Sheffield United will want to win this game to see if they can carry that on. But Leicester, I think at home have been quite good. They got a really good win against Stoke in their last home game. And I think especially in that game, we saw the quality of their forward players. Patson Daka getting the goal, and then we had Mavadivi doing well there. And I think in this game, a draw wouldn't massively surprise me. But for some reason, I think I've got Leicester as my most confident team going into this. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to the Foxes. I think they might go back to winning ways. They certainly need it because I think after that 3-0 defeat, I think there will be a little bit of pressure starting to ramp up again on Cifuentes. But I will be intrigued to see how this one plays out. Next up, we've got Portsmouth versus Bristol City, both losing in midweek. Portsmouth lost out by 3-0 against Sheffield United. Obviously, the Devlin red card certainly didn't help the situation, which caused Sheffield United to receive a penalty in the first place. And then ultimately, by that point onwards, it was going to be a very difficult game for Portsmouth to manage. But one mini positive on their recent games is that they picked up a good home win recently, and they are back home at Fratton Park, and I do back them a lot more at home than I do away from home. Bristol City is a strange one to put my finger on at the moment because I can clearly see there's still some quality there with this Bristol City side. I think they are one of the many sides that have been heavily affected from the injuries that they're currently picking up in that squad. It was a bad defeat against Wrexham, and Bristol City had the chances to try and get something. They did have a goal disallowed, potentially a little bit harshly if the disallowed goal was from a foul on the defender or goalkeeper in that situation there. But regardless, Wrexham just kept on pushing and they eventually got the game away from Bristol City. So just didn't offer enough responses, and they'll be wanting to try and get a response here, but easier said than done. I think it's going to be quite a tough one. As a prediction, struggling here. I'm going to go for a draw. Can't really back them. I'll go 1-1. I think Portsmouth will improve going back at home, but Bristol City, I think they are the better side on paper, but I think they are not quite playing at their best. They're in a bit of a tough time at the moment, and I think this will be another result where they may not quite get exactly what they want. Next up, we've got Stoke versus Hull City. Stoke back to winning ways, beating Charlton by 3-0. It was a very powerful first half, and I don't know if it's whether Stoke played well or if it was Charlton starting 2 games in a row very poorly. Maybe there's a little bit of that there, but either way, Sorba Thomas, 2 crosses that turned into goals. Fair play to him. He's done really well. And Manaf as well, as striker, has had a brilliant season. He's been one that I've been waiting to sort of see some consistency from, but he's gaining his best football this season, and I'm really impressed to see how Stoke are forming. Because of Middlesbrough losing their first home game of the season, it has meant that Stoke are now back in second place in the automatic promotion places due to their goal difference. They're facing a Hull City side which recently lost out against Ipswich. I don't think they were dreadful against Ipswich, but I think it was more or less Ipswich had stronger squad and Hull struggled with the closeness of their last 2 games, and ultimately they're going through a bit of a tough time at the moment. It's back-to-back defeats for them and actually conceding 5 goals in those 2 games too. So defensively, Hull looking a little bit slack at the moment. I think Stoke could take full advantage of that. Stoke have got the best defence in the league after all. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Stoke. I back them to get a result here, and I think they're playing with a lot of confidence in the moment, so I think naturally that will allow Stoke to carry the win. Next up, we've got Coventry versus Charlton. I mean, what sort of scoreline are we going to get here? Charlton, I don't know what has happened. I really do not know what has happened. I don't know how they've conceded 8 goals in the last 2 games. Their setup in starting games has clearly been figured out, not only by Southampton, but Stoke managed to power their way in the first couple of minutes of the first half. And I don't know where this organisation has gone to, But this could be a good opportunity for Charlton to do this again, because I think they're not going to touch the ball a lot when they face Coventry. Coventry are proving to be the team to beat in the Championship at the moment. They've opened up a 10-point gap at the top of the table. A massive win against then second place team Middlesbrough. And to do in the way that they did, they were leading quite comfortably. Then they conceded 2 goals when Middlesbrough rallied and fought tooth and nail to get something, and then suddenly they went for the kill and they won by 2 goals, by 4 goals to 2. I mean, absolutely incredible. I could personally see Coventry being quite frustrated against Charlton. I think Charlton will make it very difficult, but I think surely with the way things are going, Coventry have to get a win here. At the CBS, they've been near faultless. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Coventry. I just don't know how Charlton are going to be defensively. Perhaps Nathan Jones will set up in a way that makes them a bit harder to break down, but I think still with the attacking form of Sims and Wright, I think they'll be able to get some joy. Next up is Middlesbrough versus Derby. Now, this is going to be the first game that Kim Hellberg will be leading Middlesbrough, and interesting game this. So Middlesbrough certainly will be wanting to respond after their 2 recent results, drawing against Oxford and of course losing by 2 goals against Coventry. I do see this as an opportunity for them to get something. I think at the Riverside they have shown that they have been pretty unbeatable, obviously apart from their very last game. Coventry are just proving to be a force of nature this season, but they're facing a Derby side, which Derby are doing relatively well this season, and they have proven to be a difficult team to put your finger on, but it was a good win for Derby, responding well to their 2-goal deficit they threw away against Watford by beating Swansea by 2 goals to 1. Could they maybe get something here? I mean, it's going to be another game where they're facing a brand new manager, but they coped relatively well. Perhaps they could get a result again here. But as a prediction, I think it will be a slow but steady start for Middlesbrough. I don't think it will be perfect, but I think they can get something. I'm going to go for a draw again, 1-1 in this game. But honestly, I think this one's really close. This one could really go either way. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up is Millwall versus Southampton. I mean, I think it won't surprise you, but the team I'm most confident in is Southampton. They are the team in form. 4 wins in a row, scoring goals and now keeping clean sheets all of a sudden. Millwall have not been at their glittering best recently. Even that win against Sheffield Wednesday, whilst they did get the win by 1-0, they weren't amazing in that game. And I just think at this moment, when a team of that quality in Southampton is playing with confidence, I think they can beat most teams on their day with a breeze. And as a prediction, therefore, I think that will continue unless something freakish happens in that game. I think Southampton should win this. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory to Southampton. I think they'll continue on with their red hot form. Next up, it is Norwich versus Queen's Park Rangers. What sort of start are we going to give Philip Clement for Norwich? He has managed to earn Norwich's first home point of the season. You think in the pattern of play it should have been all 3 points. It's poor to concede a late goal as late as that. Considering the stakes that Norwich are currently having, they are in a relegation scrap at the moment until they can start picking up some wins. They've not won since August. I mean, that's ages ago. So they really need to get something here. And Queen's Park Rangers is a tough one for me because they've won back-to-back games. They're going on a good streak at the moment. They managed to of course, beat Hull City after going from behind. And then recently, they narrowly edged past Blackburn. And it was one of those games which I felt could have gone either way. But a bit of quality from Chair to get the cross in. And then Smythe to get the only goal in the game. So, yeah, this is tricky. But as a prediction, I think with all the signs there, I think there will be some improvements. I think Norwich will be competitive. But I'm actually going to back Queen's Park Rangers. I've not backed them often this season. And I think based on how well Chair's playing at the moment, I think that will uplift the squad. And they have got some good options going forward. And against a very shaky Norwich back line, which I think was slightly improved with the signs that I saw against Oxford, but I still think it's a work in progress. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Queen's Park Rangers. I mean, that will really set a bad tone for Norwich's prospects this season. They really ought to try and win this one. I know I predicted an away win, but honestly, I could also see a good response. It's just so unpredictable. You know, Villa Clermont is still relatively new, and I'm still thinking that we're going to still see some changes in this Norwich City side. Next up, we've got Sheffield Wednesday versus Preston. Sheffield Wednesday, despite losing, I think they could do themselves proud. They stayed in the game against Millwall and actually did offer some great chances. I mean, that chance from Barry Bannon was very exciting. You know, he just is someone that really makes you just stand up and applaud the audacity of some of his attempts. It's absolutely amazing to see. Preston were involved in a draw, pretty meaningless draw against Watford, but it still keeps them actually in the top 6 with that draw. Jefferson getting on the score sheet, which I'm really pleased for him for, because obviously he's kind of filling in the void of Osmaich's absence, which he's still currently serving. Prediction here, I think this will be low scoring, but I think it will be in the favour of Preston, just based on the confidence and the quality that they have in their squad. I'm going to go for a 1-0 away victory to Preston. I see them being the most likely team being able to get something from this game. Next up, we've got West Brom versus Swansea. Both teams would arguably say that they had poor results. So West Brom drew against Birmingham, which I did correctly predict, but based on the pattern of the play, I don't know how West Brom didn't even win that game. They had many chances, but how many times have we said this from West Brom, that they can create chances? There's no problem about that. It's those conversion of those chances that West Brom just cannot do. They need to take a leaf out of Derby County's book, just almost scoring with almost every single opportunity that they have on goal. If they could do that, then West Brom could be an entirely different sort of feared team in the Championship, but they've just been too wasteful. It's as simple as that in their chances. And they're facing a Swansea side which they themselves are also in low in confidence. You know, Atos came in, you know, there was probably the bounce there of a new manager. It didn't translate into the results, but I think in the performance, I think there were some slightly better things that I'm seeing, especially from the midfield. But this is a tough one because it's two underperforming sides. Prediction is really going to be down to which team wants it more. I think with the quality performance I saw from West Brom, I have to think surely they have to win this one here. But if they don't, then it's just going to be another sense of deja vu and not taking the chances. I'm going to go 2-1 West Brom. I just have a feeling if they can back up the similar level performance they have had against Birmingham, I think they will have opportunities to score. So next up, it is Wrexham versus Blackburn. Wrexham are now starting to excite me in this league. They are 2 points off the playoffs, unbelievably, and they are going through a good run of form. Now, I predicted Bristol City to beat Wrexham, and quite honestly, I know they scored first, and I was thinking, okay, that's a good start for them. But when Bristol City momentarily equalised before that goal was chalked off maybe a little bit harshly, I felt that from that moment there, that it was going to fall into the same deja vu, and then suddenly Wrexham just capitulate. But what a mature performance again, defensively, so much better. They're taking more of their chances now. They're, you know, things are starting to click, which I'm really excited for this Wrexham side. So I am really excited to see how they get on against this Blackburn side. But Blackburn, as we have seen, on the road, they've been pretty solid. They've been doing really well. It's been their home form which has let them down, and that's been the case again in their last game against Queen's Park Rangers. Did have the chances to score. They definitely tested the substitute goalkeeper for Queen's Park Rangers since Ben Hayman did come off with an injury, but I think, again, it's just another example where they've just maybe felt like that they had the game in control, but just weren't really clinical enough. And in this game here, I think Wrexham are going to be a much more attacking side than what Queen's Park Rangers managed to show in that game there. Prediction, whilst I could see it maybe ending in a draw because of how good Blackburn have been on the road, I have to think, I feel like I should back Wrexham. I've not backed them a lot, and I should reward their brilliant form at the moment. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Wrexham. I think they could go on a really good run, and this could potentially see them go into the top 6 if results go their way. So unbelievable, right, that Wrexham are now starting to gain some form, but fair play to them, because I think they had to answer a lot of critics, and currently I think they're now answering them. So I'm going 2-1. Let me know what you think in the comments. But final game to predict, guys, of course, it is Birmingham versus Watford. Oh, it's a Gianfranco Zola derby, isn't it? I've got a couple of these derbies that we could do. Troy Deeney derby, maybe as well, you could put there. So there's a couple of derbies associated with those two clubs. So Birmingham managed to get the draw, and ultimately they weren't in this game, but what a great bit of form that Deutsch is showing at the moment. Deutsch, I think is his name, isn't it? The new signing from Werder Bremen. He has scored, is it what, 3 goals in 2 games? He scored twice over the weekend, and he scored the equaliser against West Brom. So I'm pleased for him that he's now starting to grow into the squad and is now starting to have a lot of his chances being converted. This is against a Watford side, though, who I think will be a threat. Their last away win, of course, was against Derby. Although it was their only away win of the season. So I think one thing you do have to bear in mind, I think Watford's away form hasn't generally been great, but their recent run of form has been okay. So I think Birmingham will be challenged. Now, obviously, the stat is in their last 3 home games, they scored 4 goals. I am not going to do that there, as tempted as I am, because I do think Watford are a very strong side. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory, though, to Birmingham. I think they are certainly showing some consistency at St Andrews now, which is exciting me. So I think, again, they will do more of the same, and this will certainly put Birmingham in a very comfortable position in the top half of the table. But once again, let me know what you think in the comments. So there you have it, guys. These are my Week 18 score predictions. If you agree in terms of my predictions, let me know in the comments. But as always, guys, do make sure you leave your score predictions as well, as I'll always be interested to read your thoughts. So that is going to wrap it up. Thank you guys once again for watching. It really is massively appreciated. If you can like, share and subscribe, all of that really does help the growth of this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a legendary if you saw in this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the midweek games, and I will see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.